that you're paying attention up front, so everybody should be facing this way and not touching our friends and staying in our boxes, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I'm going to first start off by telling a story. Before I do that, I want to tell you guys a short story about me. When I was in middle school, a long, long time ago, I had to practice for a really, really hard test, like study for a test. Who has ever had to study for a test or homework or... Okay, so you know how hard it is to study, and when you're studying, it doesn't have to be quiet around you so you're not distracted, right? So when I was studying in my room for a really, really hard math test, I kept on hearing this banging noise up against my wall. So I got up and I went out into my hallway to see where that noise was coming from. And guess where the noise was coming from?
What?
It was coming from my brother. I went into my brother's room and he was like beatboxing up against my wall. So I went into his room, I'm like, can you please be quiet? I'm trying to study. And I walked right back into my room and started studying. What do you think happened after I sat down? I'm not sure. He kept doing it over and over and over. And so when you're studying and you hear noises, isn't that sort of like a distraction to you? You can't focus or concentrate. So I got back up, walked into his room again, and I said, can you please stop beating on my wall? And you know what he told me?
What?
He told me if I told him nicely the first time, then he would have done it. So things like that, when you have a distraction around you, it's always important to say things nicely so they know the first time why you want them to quit. So if I went out and I said, can you please stop talking in a mean voice, would you listen to me or would you keep on doing it? Keep on doing that. So things like that, they affect other people around you. So if I went and I said something mean to him, it's going to affect him either in a bad way or a positive way, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about how we can be peacemakers and how we can be peace breakers. Peacemakers. Who can tell me what they think a peacemaker is? Mariah.
Tell somebody to do something nicely and they'll do it the first time.
Okay, doing something
Repeating.
nicely. Okay. What do you think a peacemaker means? Anybody else know what a peacemaker might mean, being a peacemaker? Dion? The same thing that Nariah said? Okay. Janaea?
Talk to somebody who's trying to do something instead of yelling.
Okay. Hands down. Those are all good examples of being a peacemaker. A peacemaker is somebody that doesn't cause any conflict or distraction, and they try to create peace around them. So you know that when you do things in classroom or outside of classroom, that affects the people around you. So if you were to go outside and yell at the top of your lungs, who do you think it would affect? All the other people that are testing. So the things that you do outside and inside of here affects other people around you. So today I'm going to read a book called David Goes to School. Has anybody read this book or have seen this book before? Show of hands. Okay. So when I read this book, I want you to find key details if David is being a peacemaker or a peace breaker, okay? Okay. David Goes to School by David Shannon. David goes to school. David's teacher always says, "No, David, no yelling, no pushing, no running in the halls." David, you're tardy. Sit down, David. David, don't chew gum in class.
Whoa. That's bubblegum.
David, raise your hand. Do you guys always have to hear Ms. Coughlin say raise your hand when you call out things?
Yes.
Keep your hands to yourself. That's something that we could practice when we're sitting at the gathering area, right? Keeping our hands to ourselves. Pay attention. That's a good one.
Whoa.
Yep, you have to pay attention and not call out. Wait your turn, David. David's just walking right in front of everybody, cutting everybody. You see their angry faces? Yep. I don't care who started it. David, recess is over. Shh. Again. What do you think he's asking for? Raise your hand and I'll call you. Amna.
He really needs to go to the bathroom.
He really needs to go to the bathroom, but you think he's playing? How do you know that you think he's playing?
By his face.
By his face?
And he always plays.
Because she said you need to go again, so that means that he constantly goes, so he might be playing.
What face that is?
That's it, mister. You're staying after school. You see what he did?
What? He's playing dead. No, that's his dead. Oh. He drawn on his desk.
David, have you finished? So since he drew on his desk, he had to stay after and clean all of the desks.
That must be fun. This is fun.
Good job, David.
Get a sticker.
Yes, David, you can go home now. Turn and talk to your neighbor and talk about how David was a peace breaker. How David was a peace breaker. Okay, 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. Okay, so we're going to create a T chart. On one side is going to say peacemaker. And on the other side is going to say peace breaker. Who can give me one example of when David was being a peace breaker? David.
When I was
When he was drawing on the table and you're saying I because your name is David too? Okay, so when he was drawing on the table.
Was he drawing on the table of a bathroom? No. I thought it was.
Yes. What was another?
Peacemaker by washing all the dishes.
He was a peacemaker by washing the desk. What's another example of David when he was a peace breaker?
He kept on, when they were painting, David, he was trying to touch another kid.
So he was putting his hands on his friends?
Yep. And he used his hands to make him act on him. He's a peace breaker.
Adrina, another example. Excuse me, Ben, you're interrupting our friend here. I was trying to explain.
He was a peace he went in front of everybody, and he doesn't even care.
So he was cutting the line.
I'm sorry.
What might be some other examples of being a peace breaker?
He was doing a big fight.
So throwing food and doing a food fight? So let's say if one of you were throwing food in the cafeteria, wouldn't that affect all of you guys? Because you all would get in trouble. Your table would get in trouble, right? If your table was throwing food.
Yeah.
That's being a peace breaker because you're not causing peace in your area. You're affecting others when you do certain things. What are some examples of being a peacemaker?
Oh.
And let's think about what it says for Ms. Golfin's group rocks. What are some things or characteristics of being a peacemaker?
Safe.
Being safe. That's a good one because if you're being safe, then that means that everybody around you can be safe. So if you're not running around, then you can't bump into anybody or trip anybody over, right? Another example of being a peacemaker. Being responsible. Kaylin, what's another example of being kind to others? What would be the opposite of being kind for being a peace breaker? If we're being kind, what would be the opposite if I wasn't being kind? Disrespectful. Do you have one, Ben?
Yes. David was he was falling, like he had to do his work because he wasn't listening.
Because he was drawing on the tables and stuff. So was he being a peacemaker or a peace breaker? A peace breaker. Who can give me one more example of being a peacemaker?
I can wash the window.
Washing the window, so cleaning after yourself.
I got one now. I got one.
So these are examples of what it means to be a peacemaker and a peace breaker. You have washing the desk, which David did at the end. You can go ahead and put your hands down. Being safe, being responsible, being kind, and cleaning after ourselves. For peace breaker, we have drawing on the table, putting hands on our friends, cutting lines, throwing food, and being disrespectful. So those are all examples of when we're peacemakers and being peace breakers. Have you ever been in a situation where you were a peace breaker? You've never been a peace breaker? You never cut lines or threw food at anybody or kept yelling at somebody and being disrespectful? I think everybody's been a peace breaker once. No? Okay. So, for our 1, 2, 3 eyes on me. Thank you. So for today, our activity, I'm going to give you a blank piece of paper. And on your paper, you're going to write how you are a peacemaker. And after you write on the sheet of paper how you can be a peacemaker, you want to draw a descriptive picture showing how you're being a peacemaker. And then if you finish on the back, I want you to write about the time that you were a peace breaker. Okay? So I'm going to call each column who's sitting straight and listening and ready to go.
Wait.
Column 3 can go ahead and head to their desk.
So we go from column 1
Two,
to column 3.
Column 3.
Excuse me.
Okay. Column 1 can go ahead and head to their desk.
Oh, look how. I'm trying number 4.
Column 4 and column So when you get your paper,
What is that? Jeremiah, you're welcome.